winning this bout 10 rounds in the heavyweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears blue shorts. He weighs in tonight at 262 pounds with a professional record of 12 wins, 12 losses, 1 draw, 5 big wins by knockout. From Hillcrest, Maryland, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Garib Lane. And his opponent in the red corner, wearing black trunks with a red stripe. He weighs in tonight at 223½ pounds. He has a professional record of 16 wins, no losses, 4 wins by knockouts. From Grand Rapids, Michigan, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Buster Mathis Jr. 10 rounds in the heavyweight division.
Okay, Garib Lane comes in at a very large 262 pounds. Buster Mathis with a big height advantage over him, being 6 foot to Lane's 5'9". Slight reach advantage for Buster Mathis Jr. Garib Lane, 60 years old. And again, the rules in Texas, 3 knockdown rule is in effect. No standing 8 point. 10-point must system in effect. Only referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell. And of course, only in the last round can you be saved by the bell.
Have you ever seen that happen, Arnie?
No. Have you?
No, I never have. I'll tell you something. This is a very interesting fight. Garib Lane, as we've said before, throw out the record. He's strong. He's got the punching advantage and probably the strength advantage on Buster Mathis Jr. Buster's got the quickness advantage on him, and that's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to step around, use his quickness. I mean, he doesn't look like he'd have a quickness advantage on anybody.
Take
but
him
the
out.
kid, very tough, very quick.
Let him go, let him go.
Garib Lane, 262 pounds. He's the one in the blue shorts. Buster Mathis, black shorts with the red stripe. Typical weight, though, for Garib Lane. The one time he got down and dropped almost 20 pounds, he came in for 249 pounds against Jeremy Williams. Carried Williams into the 12th round before getting stopped.
A lot of times you take a guy like that that's heavy and they get him on a diet and they suck him way down. He doesn't really, he feels weak. Missing meals to a guy like Garib Lane is something that he's never had any experience doing. These guys are getting off right here together, both of them trying to establish themselves early. If I was Buster, I wouldn't be trying to exchange any punches with this big guy. I'd just be in there using my quickness, staying busy, just like he is, bouncing stuff off his head, getting low.
Well, is that where Mathis wants to be, Bob? He's fighting him on the inside. I would think he would want to stay on the outside, maybe use a little bit of his reach and height advantage. Right now, he's staying on the inside, trading a little bit with the much heavier Garib Lane, who's laying 40 pounds on top of him. You know, you lay that 40 pounds for 10 rounds, it's going to tire out Buster Mathis, wouldn't you say?
You're right, but I don't know that there is any height and reach advantage for Buster, even though, you know, they said so in the tail of the tape. They look about the same size to me, and Buster's quick on the inside, and he likes it. He doesn't fight on the outside much, and he doesn't want to completely change his style to accommodate Lane. He's kind of got to do what got him there. Lane's on the back of his head there a little bit. Referee David Avalos, excellent official. He'll be in there and take charge.
A little less than a minute to go here. Round number 1. We're in Harlingen, Texas, on the Cedric Christian Sports Network Heavyweight Explosion. Scheduled for 10 heavyweights. Buster Mathis Jr., the USP heavyweight champion, in a non-title fight against Garib Lane. I'm Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal, joined by Bob Spagnola. Lane, of course, his big win recently, the knockout of Alex Garcia. 2-round KO back in August of 1993. Been up and down since then, winning a 10-round decision over Craig Payne. Losing in the 12th round to Jeremy Williams. Taking Larry Holmes to 10. Beating Jack Jackson in 8, and then losing to Corey Sanders recently.
I would see the focus of this fight starting here in the first round. Mathis is just a little too busy. They're both trying to do the same things, and Lane has got more power, but Mathis is scoring more points.
Well, as Bob had mentioned, I found it to be an unusually active and busy round for both of these fighters. I didn't expect to see them fighting that much on the inside. And I'm not sure that it's the best place for Buster Mathis to do, but he did land the better blows, and I also saw it as a good round for Buster Mathis.
Well, it's, you know, Buster, I mean, he's short. He doesn't have a lot of reach. He's got a good jab that he uses to work his way to the inside, but once he gets in there, he's quite comfortable in there. And one of his patented moves is he's got his head on the guy's shoulder, which he pulls it to both sides, which is a good mark for a fighter. And then whatever side he pulls it out on, he shoots to that side with a couple of, you know, double lefts or double rights, depending on which side it is. It's been a very effective tactic for him.
And so far working well in round number 1 against Gering Lane.
Go!
Round number 2, scheduled for 10. We're here at Heavyweight Explosion. We'd like to welcome all of our viewers on the Pro Star Entertainment Network. Watching us in bars and entertainment facilities around the country. Good first round for Buster Mathis. Both fighters fighting on the inside.
I mean, Lane, I thought, had a good round, too. He doesn't do as much. If you count punches, which isn't necessarily the way to score a fight because the velocity and the power of them matters, but strictly counting them, every time Gering throws 2, Buster comes back with 4, and you know, those numbers all add up over a period of time, and that's what Buster Mathis he does. We've seen him on the exposure several times. He outcounts guys. He's like a larger version of a Saul Manby.
Mathis has 4 knockouts in his 16 wins, the last one coming in his last fight, which was just recently on November 5th against Lyle McDowell here in the Explosion.
Which was an excellent performance for Buster. I mean, he really showed some power. He's been working on his strength, leverage, and Brian Lee and Bruce Kelty, his brain trust behind him, and of course his father, who's ill and can't travel with him, but he trains Buster there at the gym in Grand Rapids. They really put together a heck of a team.
Lane's last KO, of course, came back by we were talking about against Alex Garcia, August of '93.
And Gering Lane's nobody's ever given him a work win. You know, every time he goes in, he's just like he is this time. He's an opponent. So, you know, the fact that he doesn't have an impressive knockout ratio, really, I think is a function of that. Nobody's padded his record at all.
And we're a little bit more than a minute to go here. Round number 2, scheduled for 10. That's Lane in the blue shorts, Buster Mathis in the black shorts with the red stripe. And unless you've been out of the country, you remember Buster Mathis is the fighter that was hit while on the floor by Riddick Bowe. That fight was back in August 13th to be exact. Was ruled a no contest. He's come back since then. 2 straight wins, 10-round decision over Michael Faulkner. And of course, as we mentioned, he knocked out Lyle McDowell just a little bit more than a month ago here on Heavyweight Explosion.
Excellent infighting here, Arnie. I mean, these guys, they're positioning, you know, they're in there, their heads, they're taking them from either side to the other, both throwing double shots from both sides. This is excellent infighting by both fighters here, really a treat for our fans.
And as we're coming to the end of round number 2, I don't think you can count the number of jabs thrown in this fight on one hand.
Yeah, they started. When they come from that corners, they throw a jab, and then they lay in and fight. That's what they're doing right now. Buster's quickness, you can see him having his way with Gering Lane.
Well, round number 2, sort of a mirror image of round number 1. As you mentioned, they come out, they throw one jab, and then bang, they're just throwing shots in close for the entire round. Mathis, though, seems to be throwing 4-1 over Lane and has landing a lot better as well.
And even though Lane's probably landed the harder punches because he's really bended his knees and landed some good, particularly body shots on Buster, he's just getting outsped, out-countered, and when he comes up to the head with some of his big power shots, Buster gets right underneath him, and you could see him miss wildly a couple times there in the second round.
Take a look at Gering Lane in his corner there. I don't think he necessarily expected that sort of hand speed from Buster Mathis in close.
So hard to measure until you actually get in there.
Great job, boss. Great job. Hey, let's go.
Round number 3. We're scheduled for 10 heavyweights. USBA champion Buster Mathis in a 10-round non-title affair here. He's in the black shorts with the red stripe, fighting Gary Lane in the blue shorts. It's been all Mathis so far, but close rounds, Bob, wouldn't you say?
No, I definitely would, and I'm telling you, Gary Lane is not in this fight. He's really worked on his right, his double right hand.
Where's Mike Tyson? Pick him up.
People call it the Mike Tyson, the right to the body, and then right uppercut right off of it. Lane's got a good one, and he's trying to work it here on Buster Mathis Jr. We'll have to watch for that as the fight progresses.
And Lane just picked up a warning from the referee for low blows. Gave him the first warning. A little bit better than what Ronnie Ralston gave in terms of number of warnings in the last fight. To Ricky Jackson, took a point away on the first warning.
But I think he more than made up for it later in the fight when Shelby called for a few more deductions.
Let him go.
There Lane tries again. That right, that short right hook, and he's going to try to turn it underneath the uppercut to the head off that. But you see all the little positioning, all the little moves that they're making with each other on the inside. Buster trying to get under Gary Lane's shot. There's a real lot of work going on the inside there that fight aficionados will really enjoy. Buster's blocking those hooks to the body with his elbows from Lane, coming up with those headshots of his own.
And a good left landed there by Gary Lane as we're halfway gone here in round number 3. I don't think either fighter necessarily worried about going the distance today. They've both been there. They've been 10. They've been 12. Mathis 12 twice. Lane 12. 10 rounds a couple of times. Coming on the 1 minute mark here in round number 3. We're scheduled for 10. We're in Arlington, Texas. Heavyweight explosion on the Zedler Christian Sports Network. I'm Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal, joined by Bob Spagnola.
And watch the way Buster Mathis Jr. now. He's got his head. He takes his head out right left, hooks him in with the right hand. He's got his head on the right side here. He works a couple short jabs on the inside, but a good power shot by Gary Lane too. The problem with Gary Lane is when you're Buster, you're right there in front of him to be hit. And he can really bang. He's a little bit overweight across his chest and midriff, but the guy is a tank. He's a horse.
Is Gary Lane simply not have the ability to sidestep at all? To make a move to the right or to the left and maybe be able to catch him? He doesn't want to throw uppercuts like that from the outside.
But you watch Gary Lane. In order for him to punch, he's got both feet planted on the ground. Buster Mathis Jr.'s quickness is given. There's a nice uppercut by Lane. It's just the quickness of Mathis is getting on, and he's getting underneath those big shots.
Well, we're going to listen in on the corner of Buster Mathis Jr., USBA heavyweight champion. 6th time he's fighting this year, and Bobby mentioned in the open, sort of a throwback.
No, he really is. You know, Buster Mathis Jr. is a wonderful kid. See Brian Lee giving him his instructions.
I also want you to keep your butt down. Yes, sir. Get your butt too high. Yes, let's keep the butt down. Let's pick up the pace.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Keep that center of gravity down on this guy. Don't get straight up in the air.
Giving him yes, sir answers. Take a look at Gary Lane.
Seconds out, let's go.
And of course, heavyweight explosion being brought to you today by Corona Extra, La Cerveza Más Fina.
Let's go.
And here we are, round number 4. And again, Bob, it's sort of like you can keep rolling the same tape.
Open with that jab. Buster thinking about it. He wants his behind down there about in between, right above that second rope, the blue rope. That's where he wants to be. That's where he wants his center of gravity. You know, you look at Buster Mathis Jr., he's pigeon-toed. He's not body beautiful. You know, he's never going to be, you know, a guy that thought of a little bit of a low blow there and somebody's mouthpiece went out.
Stop! Stop!
Possible sign of fatigue when mouthpieces start flying, Bob. I have a hard time believing that Gary Lane would be tiring this early in the fight, but it's very hot down here today in Harlingen. Very hot under these ring lights.
I think he just got caught with a good body shot by Mathis when he was trying to get some air in. That's what will happen.
fight in 1994 for Buster Mathis. Very unusual activity for a top 10 heavyweight.
They knew that Buster's maturing process wasn't over with just because he broke into the top 10 in the world, and they've continued. And working with a promoter like Cedric Kushner, you know, he likes to keep his fighters busy. And, you know, the busier, the more exposure, it always leads to bigger and better things. If you've got a guy that's willing to work, and Buster Mathis Jr.'s got an excellent work ethic, as you can see him in the corner with his trainer. Yes, sir.
Halfway gone here in round number 4. We're scheduled for 10. Of course, Mathis just fought over here on Heavyweight Explosion back in November 5th. We mentioned he knocked out Lyle McDowell on the defense of his USBA title. It's a non-title go today. Don't underplay the significance of it, though. Garib Lane, not the typical 500 fighter. He's got 5 KOs in his 12 wins. Of course, the big one coming against Alex Garcia back in August of '93. Fighters have been content so far throughout the fight to lay on each other in close, throwing a lot of punches. Mathis getting the better of it, throwing more volume, landing better.
Excellent business as usual in there for these guys. If somebody likes infighting, they're getting a special treat here today. There's a lot of action going on in there. Again, Garib Lane warned for a belt, you know, right close to the belt line, shot it. David Avalos won't let him do too many more of those before he takes some action.
And let's mention at the same time, in a certain way, the title is on the line, because if Buster Mathis were to lose today, the USBA would strip him of the title and declare the title vacant.
That's right.
So even though Garib Lane couldn't win it, Mathis couldn't lose the title today.
There's no over the weight fights for heavyweights. Excellent round by Buster. He's really working nicely here.
Let's go.
Landing some solid shots off Garib Lane.
10 seconds to go. Round number 4. We're scheduled for 10. We're at Harlingen Gardens in Harlingen, Texas, on the Cedric Kushner Sports Network. Well, Bob, end of 4 rounds. Pretty much identical from start to finish, and I think I've got it as a shutout for Buster Mathis so far. How do you see it?
Well, I called the 3rd round even. I thought Lane did a little bit better there, trying to keep up the work rate of Mathis. But this, I've seen Buster so many times, and he consistently wins every round of his fights. He might not win them by leaps and bounds, but he's just busier. He imposes his will on his opponent, and this guy Lane likes to do a lot of the same things as Buster. Only, you know, as we said, he's got a little bit more edge and power, but he's not as busy, and he doesn't have the quickness, and that's been the difference in the fight.
And as we said, kind of hard watching a tape to really understand the hand speed of Buster Mathis until you're in there with him. So we take a look at action there. Good slipping. Both fighters landing right hands.
Buster's down in that crouch.
Wipe that water off.
Round number 5 of a scheduled 10-rounder. Heavyweights, USBA champion Buster Mathis Jr. Pretty much having it all his way so far. He's in the black shorts with the red stripe. Garib Lane, perhaps the best 500 fighter in the heavyweight division. He's 12-12. He's in the blue shorts. Been sort of all Mathis picture perfect at this point. No knockdowns to this point.
But as we saw in our last fight, you know, Lane is dangerous all the way throughout. Buster can't take anything for granted. If this heat starts to get to him and he slows down, he's going to be right there for Garib Lane, and Lane knows that. So this fight is going to be interesting as it goes. Oh, there's a good uppercut. That was the Mike Tyson by Garib Lane. Right to the body, right uppercut. It scorched. There it goes again. He's trying it again on Buster Mathis Jr. Excellent. Buster can't lay there on the ropes and not move his head with this big fella.
Now, I would think he'd want to get out of that corner over there. And yet he's content to take those shots by Lane. Lane with a 40-pound weight advantage, came in at 262 pounds today. The Buster Mathis 223 and a half. Buster not known necessarily for his punching power. He's had 4 knockouts in his 16 wins. Garib Lane 5 knockouts in his 12 victories.
Nice work by Buster on the inside, but there goes the mouthpiece of Garib Lane again.
And I got to tell you at this point, Bob, I'm telling you, that's based more on fatigue. He starts breathing with his mouth open. That mouthpiece laying on the ground, on the mat. David Alamos throws it back to the corner. He'll call a halt when the action's appropriate.
Here, all this infighting going down, and you don't even notice the referee doing an excellent job as David Alamos in there. You know, a lot of referees would be in there breaking these guys and preventing them from fighting. You see him right there. He's in complete control of the fight. It's excellent action, letting these two guys do what they want to do. A lot of referees would be breaking these guys and starting them from either corner 30 times around.
And I got to tell you that Buster Mathis letting Garib Lane get into this fight.
Let's go.
Lane was landing some very good punches there on that 4-punch combination earlier in the round. Mathis trapped in his own in Lane's corner. Not a bad round for Garib Lane, in spite of the fact that he looks a little fatigued.
He started well. He certainly started well, but Mathis is running stuff on him here, I think, in the middle and second half of the fight. But Buster's got to give Garib Lane a lot of respect, and because regardless of what round it is in this fight, as Mathis finishes strong here, he's dangerous.
Buster's volume of punches, though, have definitely slowed down. He threw a lot of punches in the first 4 rounds. As we come into under 15 seconds, round number 5, we're scheduled for 10. Unless your TV's out of whack, you can't tell these are heavyweights. Not a bad round for Garib Lane as we see Lane's corner there, Bob. Had a very good beginning of the round. Trapped Mathis later on.
I scored that round for Garib Lane, his first of the fight. He, even though I think Mathis probably landed a few more punches, Lane certainly had more on them. And here's that Mike Tyson over on the ropes. Right to the body, and then right uppercut, right off it. He does the same thing again and misses it, and Buster hooks him off it. But that Mike Tyson, I told you, is a favorite combination of Garib Lane, and we will see that punch. Hopefully Buster won't see too much more of it tonight.
Buster getting last second instructions from his corner.
Real smart. Love that last 10 second throw you did.
Round number 6.
Let's go. Picked it up a little bit.
Round number 6, scheduled 10, heavyweights. Buster Mathis Jr., USBA champion. It's a non-title affair against Garib Lane. We're in Harlingen, Texas on the Cedric Christian Sports Network. This is Heavyweight Explosion. I'm Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal. I'm joined, as always, by our boxing analyst on Heavyweight Explosion, Bob Spagnola. And Bob, Garib Lane starts to come on in round number 5 and wins unofficially the first round of the fight for himself.
That's right, but I mean, you watch and see Buster Mathis now. He's not sitting on the ropes in this round like he was in the last one. He's trying to fight more in the middle of the ring. Another low blow by Garib Lane there. And we come with 4 punches by Buster Mathis Jr. after that.
Mathis working his own uppercut.
And he's got to do that. Buster's got to stay busy in there. You see Lane holding a little bit, trying to, rough Buster up against the ropes, get him in that position where he can work.
Step around, Buster. Step around, get an angle, Buster.
It's amazing that neither guys, the way their heads are bouncing off each other in there. I mean, neither guy has a propensity to cut that much, but it's a small wonder that they haven't with the way they're bouncing off each other in the inside, Arnie.
You were reading my mind. I was just about to ask you the same thing. Is how they're avoiding getting cut and busted up in there. A lot of head banging going on.
I think it's because, both fighters, this is their style. They're used to having their head in there on the other guy's shoulder. And, like I said, neither one of them is known to cut easily.
Good right hand lead by Mathis scores.
Nice work by Buster Mathis Jr. He needed to. He's got to get back to that work rate unless he wants a much tougher fight than he's had thus far in the beginning of this.
He threw a lot of punches in the first 4 rounds. He took round 5 off, let Garib Lane get back in the fight. And now he's doing what worked well for him earlier on the fight. Garib Lane, on the other hand, doesn't want to lay on the ropes and take that sort of punishment and let Buster Mathis keep scoring points.
No, Garib, he's got to have Buster on the ropes to do what he wants to do, because as we said earlier, he's really the kind of guy that's got to have both feet firmly planted. Oh, and a big hook by Buster Mathis Jr. Didn't hurt Garib Lane, but he sure is scoring at will. Both guys getting off good punches here.
Mathis, of course, not known for his punching powers, only got 4 KOs in his 16 wins. And we've got under 30 seconds to go here, round number 6. And as you mentioned earlier, amazing that they haven't had to be broken up too often by referee David Alvamos, considering how they're infighting.
And Avalos just told him that he's going to take a point the next time Gary Lane goes south of the border with a body shot.
He's given him 2 warnings already in this fight. As we're coming to the end of round number 6, we're scheduled for 10 here in Harlingen, Texas.
Buster smothering Gary Lane's counters up there and doing a nice job of it.
Yeah, I liked it when you had him on with his back
Here
to
it
the
comes.
ropes. Okay, I like that.
Coming behind the neck of the horse. I don't want to do it.
You're not throwing enough right hands. He's often open for the right hand. When you take a little bit step back, you're going forward and you're acquiescing. You're not throwing your right hand. So
Taking a look at 6-round action, Bob.
Look at that mouthpiece of Gary
I want
Lane.
you to pick up the pace. So what are you going to do?
Throw a lot more right hands.
Yes.
Pick up the pace.
Pick up the pace. That's exactly right. If you can get him with his back to the ropes, let's do it.
Okay.
You look in good shape, Buster.
Seconds out. Let's go. Okay, let's go.
Round number 7 of a scheduled 10-rounder, Bob, and in between rounds, Mathis' corner telling him pick up the pace and telling him that Lane is very susceptible to the right hand, and there it is.
He is, I mean, he's pretty much susceptible to everything that Buster sends his way, but at the same time, he's got something coming back, and to keeping yourself in a good defensive position, bringing your hands back is what Buster's got to be aware of. Oh, nice quick combination by Buster Mathis Jr. as Lane tries to come back with his own. And they told Buster, if you can, keep his back to the ropes. But Buster can still outspeed him and outquick him with his back to the rope. So he's got a lot of different options.
Been pretty much all Buster Mathis to this point. Unofficially, I've got it 59-55 for Mathis at the end of 6. Yourself, Bob?
I don't even keep them total up, but I've got Buster comfortably ahead in the fight. I've had one even and one round for Gary Lane. But Lane, like Jesse Shelby in the fight we just had, he wants to be in this fight. He wants to, if something comes where he can take advantage of it and knock Buster Mathis Jr. out, that's what he wants to be. And he'll be the #1 contender in the USBA for that vacant title. That's what he's got on his mind. His style, it just doesn't lead for him to be outpointing guys, outspeeding guys. Unless he can bounce them off the canvas, he doesn't have a real good chance to beat them. He's bleeding from the mouth and his mouth open. As you can see, Buster Mathis Jr., he's not got that big one knockout punching power for a heavyweight, but he will get the job done. He'll put some welts on your head.
Nice right hand. We're halfway gone in round number 7. Both fighters been the 10-round distance before. Mathis been 12 twice.
Buster uses his head as a good defensive weapon. After he throws his little shots, he gets his head right in there on the chin or on the chest of Gary Lane, and he takes away Lane's vision, and he takes away his ability to choose which side he wants to punch from, because he's got to shift his weight, and by the time he's set, Buster's out of there.
That's why I mentioned earlier, you would think that Lane would not want to stay in there, would try to adapt to some other type of style, but this might be it for him.
I mean, what else can he do? He can't get on a pistol and stay on the outside and try to box Buster with a jab. He's got to do, what his God-given abilities are, and to get in there and rumble. And I've noticed that Jim Waldrop's been telling him in between rounds and trying to stay busy. He's trying to match punches and numbers with Buster, even just sticking that jab out there, touching him with that right hand. He knows that just on the point thing, he's way behind, and he wants to move his hands more, not load up so much on the big shot. Another one in the bank for Buster Mathis Jr. He lands 2 of his own, and he gets under Gary Lane's big punch.
We come to the end of round number 7. We're scheduled for 10.
Here it comes, baby.
Stop playing, dude. Go down the rope. Let him come to me.
Another good round, Bob, for Buster Mathis, as you're saying. Gary Lane only has certain abilities that were given to him. He's not able to adapt to any other type of style right now, and the fight that they're fighting is picture perfect for Mathis. He throws the combination, he's using his head like you're saying, leaning in there and making it totally ineffective for Gehring Lane to get any sort of power punch off.
He really is, but if Buster slows down and rests like he took off that round earlier in the fight, I think the 5th, you know, then Lane is right there because he is a dangerous puncher, and even though, you know, he's tired over there, he trains in the heat of something. He's looking for that one punch, Arnie.
Sit down on your punches, Gary.
Let's go.
Round number 8, we're scheduled for 10. Buster Mathis Jr. and Gehring Lane. Lane's corner telling him between rounds, sit down on your punches. He needs to he's getting dangerously into that area where he's going to need a knockout to win the fight. Unofficially, Buster Mathis way ahead at this point at the end of 7.
And that's good advice from Jim Walter, but the problem is when you're a guy like Gehring that's got to have both feet firmly on the ground in order to pull the trigger, and you're in with a quicker guy like Buster Mathis Jr., you can't get set like that to load up. And that's how Buster Mathis diffuses these guys. He can't stay away from them. He's got to be right in their range of punching power, but at the same time, his quickness, he takes something off those punches.
Been consistently out-punching Gehring Lane 4-1. Took 1 round off earlier in the fight, round number 5.
Go his neck.
A minute gone by, round number 8. I'm Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal with Bob Spagnola. We're on the Zimmer Kushner Sports Network. This is Heavyweight Explosion.
I gotta say it again, Arnie. Great refereeing by David Avalos. We haven't even noticed him in this fight. These guys are in there fighting. You know, heads are coming together. You know, a lot of good shots on the inside, but he's not. He's letting them fight. That's if he was active in this fight, we were noticing him a lot. We really have a boring affair. Instead, we don't see him at all. We see excellent action from both men.
Had to give a couple of warnings to Gehring Lane for low blows. Lane adhered to it. Mouthpiece been lost a couple of times by Lane. Questionable whether it's from fatigue or from shots for Mathis.
But regardless if it's the fatigue or the shots, it's being caught by Buster Mathis Jr. Oh, there we go again, Arnie.
I can reach it. Mouthpiece dropped right down in front of us again at Gehring Lane. Maybe breaking the indoor record here in Texas, but first mouthpiece dropped in one fight. And he's gotten it. Pick up some really good shots here. Buster Mathis, the referee.
Go to your corner. That one. Over here.
I'm surprised he hasn't given a warning yet to Lane for dropping a mouthpiece and taking a point away.
Hey, let's go. Time.
Excellent job by Avalos, keeping it to a minimum. He didn't let any confidences go on in that corner when he got that mouthpiece back in there.
And again, Mathis comes rushing in, hits him with a 1-2 combination, and then tucks his head in there, as you described earlier, Bob, and making Lane's punching power totally ineffective.
Buster is hitting Gehring Lane and making him pick his feet up off the ground. You know, they want to pick up, they want to lose the moniker of not being able to punch Buster Mathis' people. And I'm telling you something, he's hurting a very durable fighter in here in this fight. I don't know that he'll get Gehring Lane down or ever stop him, but he's really shown excellent punching power in this fight.
Come to the close, round number 8, we're scheduled for 10. But one time so far in the fight, Buster Mathis made the mistake of pulling back, gave Gehring Lane some punching room, had his feet planted. Mathis shook his head like he wasn't hurt, and that to me sometimes the sign that
ring's getting mighty
he got rocked pretty well. We're going to take a look at action here from round number 8. This is earlier action. Buster Mathis landing.
I'm watching that.
This is pretty much all Buster Mathis in round number 8, but we're going to take a look at a replay later on in the round. And here it comes. This is that.
That might have been a little bit off balance too, but the power of Gehring Lane was evident. I don't know what's going on here, but it don't look like he wants to go anymore.
That's it?
Stop the fight. It's over.
Fight's over. Gehring Lane walking out of the ring. That's a What's going on, Bob?
Listen, he quit. And I'm telling you something, they wanted us, I said at the end of the last round, they wanted Gehring Lane. They wanted to be able to stop somebody. I would have never given him a chance to stop this guy. It's excellent performance by Buster Mathis Jr. who ran this guy out of the ring, Martin.
And yet at the end of the round,
What happened?
a very good shot.
What happened?
Nothing. I didn't get out training, so I wasn't performing well, you know?
Listening to Gehring Lane explain why. Says he didn't train much, didn't feel well. Just stopping at the end of round number 8. It'll go down in the books as a TKO victory for Buster Mathis. Proves his record to 17-0, 15 knockouts. It seemed that he got rocked at the end of round number 8 by Gehring Lane.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 seconds into round number 9, referee David Avalos stops the contest due to Gehring Lane refusing to answer the bell. Your winner by technical knockout, Buster Mathis Jr.
A very strange ending. Gehring Lane just walked out of the ring, came back in, but basically said, I've had it, don't want to go on, I haven't trained much for this fight. He dropped his mouthpiece a couple of times, seemed totally exhausted, and USBA champion Buster Mathis in his non-title go gets what'll go down in the books for some reason. They say it was 6 seconds into round number 9. TKO 9, he goes to 17-0, 5 knockouts. And he had gotten rocked at the end of round number 8, which made it even that much more unusual for Gehring Lane to just not want to continue. An unusual stoppage here for Buster Mathis Jr. in his 6th go in 1994, and probably, although knowing Buster you never know, probably his last fight of the year. Again, very active this year, remains undefeated, still the USBA heavyweight champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, please don't go
Gave
away.
up 40 pounds to the much heavier Gehring Lane, and pretty much had his way with Lane the entire fight, threw a lot of punches, outpunched him 4-1. And we're going to go up to middle of the ring where Bob Spagnola is with the USBA heavyweight champion and still undefeated, Buster Mathis Jr. Take it away, Spag.
I'm in here with Buster Mathis Jr. and his brain trust here. Congratulations, Bus. How you feel?
I feel real good. I'm glad I won, of course. You know, I trained hard for this fight. You know, the guy was a tough opponent, tough. One of the toughest, hardest opponents so far. You know, I give him all credit, you know, and you know, the guy is a dangerous fighter. So if anybody goes in there, you know, they expect a lot of trouble from him.
You know, that's what we're talking about in the broadcast earlier. For a 500 record, Gehring Lane, he's a crusher. He's a very dangerous puncher, very strong. What you're doing in the front, we saw when Brian told you to keep your butt down in there, you know, don't get straight up in the air with this guy. But the conversation that I had with Bruce prior to this fight, they were saying, hey, we've been working on Buster's punching power. We'd like to get a guy that we can stop, and we're looking for opponents, you know, a tough opponent, but one that might have the propensity to get out of here. This guy has never been gotten out of there by anybody, not Riddick Bowe, you know, a lot of Larry Holmes, a lot of very good punches that he's faced. And you were successful. I mean, you literally ran him out of the ring today.
Yeah, you know, I give him credit. You know, the guy is a tough fighter. I've been working on my power. You know, my father, Brian Lee. It's not how strong you are, but how you throw the punches, the combinations, the speed. I'm working on that. You know, get my heart condition, my mind all set. You know, because, you know, my goal looking at George Foreman, fight for a title next year sometime. But, you know, I'd like to say hi to Cedric Kushner. Cedric Kushner Productions #1. Merry Christmas to everybody in Europe and around the world. And this Merry Christmas. And how you doing, Mom, Dad, Tony, everybody back home?
Hey. Congratulations, fellas. Excellent performance, and you're on your way to the title. Congratulations.
What we'd like to do, we'd like to, right while we're down here in Texas, we'd like to challenge George Foreman to fight in Houston. We'd love the fight. It'd be a good fight for George, it'd be a good fight for Buster, and a good fight for the Texas people who have welcomed us here with open arms, and this is a great state, and we love it here.
Well, you heard it here, fellas, on the CKP Network, Heavyweight Explosion. Back to you, Arnie.
Okay, Bob, thank you very much. And there you have the challenge from Buster Mathis Jr. to the newly crowned heavyweight champion George Foreman. Mathis remains undefeated here today as he takes out Gehring Lane. 9th round TKO. goes to 17-0 with 5 knockouts. And Gary Lane drops below 500, 12-13, and 1 draw. Now, we've got a terrific fight coming up for you now. Don't go away. We've got a 4-round heavyweight fight with undefeated Muhammad Abdi.